You're listening to Who's Hot, the UKOCR podcast where Wil Chung, along with elite racers Becky, Neal, Chris Shipley, and the occasional special guest, discuss the UKOCR series and other important races in the OCR calendar to find out who's hot.
Hello and thank you for downloading the latest UK OCR Who's Hot podcast. My name is Wil Chung and I am here to talk about the British Championships happening later on this week. I also have, of course, as always, my two very special co-presenters making their way back from sunny Italy. I've got Becky, Neal and Chris Shipley. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hello. Good, thanks. Well, how are you?
Very well. Chris?
How's it going?
Yeah.
We're back from our international travels,
So
safe and sound.
Before we talk about British Championships, because we've got so much to unpack about British Championships, a quick few minutes, Chris, about Italy and Becky.
I mean, my lasting memory of Chris at Euros is finding him on the floor of the airport in Verona, where he's about to go on a quick extra night to Venice out of the choice of British Airways.
That's right. Accountability Corner got sponsored to go take a little trip around Venice, all courtesy of British Airways. It's
Nice.
really, really good. And I must say, Venice is beautiful. What a city. Yeah, we did the Indiana Jones tour, so it was really good.
Cool, but the racing was epic, wasn't it? There was loads of people from all over the place. Some huge hills, some fun obstacles, and really cool to race with our whole UK squad.
Yeah, we represented really well. It was a really good atmosphere out there, as always. And UKOCR, we just put on a show that I think all the other nations can be something to aspire to. I think we really do show what we can do when we're out there. Had some really good results from the age group athletes, the elite athletes, and just all over. It was really, really good.
Amazing, guys. We'll talk more about that, no doubt. But today is all about British champs. Saturday, the 29th of June, Belvoir Estate, Grantham, Lincolnshire, which is the home of Tough Mudder Midlands and Spartan Midlands. We were there last year as well. And to talk about British champs and to help us to talk a little bit more about the course, because we don't know anything about the course, we have Amy McGill from Spartan and we have James Burton, Chair of the Board of British Obstacle Sports. Hello both, welcome to the podcast.
Hello,
Hey.
Nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
How are we doing?
You are very welcome. Hi, James. You are no stranger to UKOCR podcast, James. Amy, let's quickly just go over to you. Spartan, how long you've been with us? What is your involvement with Spartan, and what is your involvement with the British Champs?
Yeah, so I joined Spartan Race last January. So I've been part of the team for like a year and a half now. I will be the race director for Spartan Midlands, and I've been working with James on the British OCR Championship courses.
Amazing. And James, you're going to be kind of acting race director here for us. Let's start with British Champs. What makes it so special to UK obstacle racing?
The most important thing is to bring the athletes together. So the best athletes in the country coming together to determine who is the best, both from an elite perspective, from an age group perspective, from a para perspective. For me, that's the most important thing. You select an event as the national event, and that becomes the national championship, and it brings the athletes together and it tests the best against the best. The second part of it is to deliver a great course. We've been really fortunate to work with Spartan. This is our second year working with Spartan to leverage the Spartan race weekend, so this time in Spartan Midlands, but then also bring a little bit of extra to it, which really, really happy to do in terms of things like partnership. We'll talk later in terms of our partnership with Toros and bringing different obstacles in from Toros, using different aspects of the Spartan course. So it's not a Zach sprint, it's not a Zach beat, it's not a Zach super, it's got aspects of all the different race distance in terms of obstacle selection. And then the ownership of Tough Mudder from Spartan allows us to then maybe pick an obstacle from Tough Mudder into the mix.
Whoa.
So
just hold your horses there, James. Let's not quite talk about obstacles yet. Let me go over to my elite races. Chris, Becky, British Championships, second one in this particular format. But what makes British champs special for you guys as racers?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like James said, I think it's the bring it together, isn't it, Chris? The head-to-headness, with everyone knowing that is the one to focus on. That's the one that you want to win more than anything else, really, because that's going to be the most competitive, hopefully, especially with all the considerations that's gone into like bringing extra obstacles and doing the things like, carefully considering the prizes and the categories and everything. So I think it's just growing year on year. And last year, I think it was a really excellent, like, inaugural event almost. And I think everyone wanted to come back. And it's nice that it's in a slightly different location, but we still are familiar with like how we kind of know what to expect, so everyone can prepare well. And so I think it's going to be pretty competitive.
Yeah, that's right. As racers, I think we just want to race in a big depth of field. And I think when you get a championship event which brings together everyone from the north, the south, the middle, the west, the east, everywhere, even some international races in this event, it's really about depth of field. And that's when you've trained all this year for a race. And then when you've got all these other races that are at similar abilities and similar strengths and weaknesses, and then for that final event, you've got to race your heart out to race hard. And then that's what our championship event's all about. And that's what this one is.
100%. I think I should add, Will, as well, because everyone might not be aware. When we had the last championship, I competed obviously in the last championship, and I didn't get involved with like obstacle selection and working with Spartan. After I won the Masters, just thought I had that in there.
National champ.
I kind of made a decision because it was because I was kind of involved with organising the event overall and then racing, and I just made the decision that it made sense to just focus on the event and supporting and making the event really great. It then turned out a month or so later I tore my shoulder, so I did race last weekend, but probably not in a great position to race anyway, so it all worked out. But yeah, I'm not competing, so I'm supporting Amy from a race directing perspective on the day,
which probably worked out quite well, actually, having an injury for a change.
Well,
not usually good. Yeah, silver linings.
Because I know I wouldn't be competitive and competing. I will still be jealous.
So you're currently national champion, and I think that's a really exciting thing that this event brings. Like, you can call yourself national champion. There's so many different races in OCR that there's different organizers and everything, but this is the one. This is the national championship. So James, you've got like maybe 5 more days of that title before you have to hand over.
Yeah, but the trophy behind me forever. I don't.
Glorious forever.
Glory forever. So James, let's just talk a little bit more about the British Champs overall, and also the other competitions that's going to be involved with this weekend.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned from a senior perspective, an adult perspective, there is the elite competition, male and female. There's various age groups from 18 to 24 up to 60 plus. And then there is a para competition, which we had last year. So it's the second time running the longer distance from a para perspective, which is great. This year, we've also introduced an international competitive wave. So we had a lot of athletes racing last year that did it open as international athletes, but they can actually run for podium as well. And then we've ran, this is the second year of running the senior champs, but it's the third year of running the junior champs. And previously the junior champs has been at another location, but we brought them together. So in the late morning, we've got the 10 to 11 and the 12 to 13 age group. In the early afternoon, we've got the 14 to 17 age group running. So throughout the day, there's going to be different championship events. I think it's going to be great. Some of the people taking part in the senior event are going to help and support the juniors. And then we've got a podium in the afternoon at 2:30 with everyone coming together to celebrate all the successes from the day. So I think it's going to be a great day overall for celebrating British OCR.
I love that. Cool.
Amazing. Right, let's talk a little bit more about the course. Let's talk a little bit about the obstacles. So, of course, British Champs is being supported by Spartan. And Amy, thank you very much for joining us. Tell me a little bit about the course in general, and whatever kind of nuggets that we can start to poke out of you, maybe some of the Spartan obstacles that might be there. And I'm sure James might be able to give us a little bit more detail about some of the other obstacles. But what can you tell us, Amy? Come on.
What can I tell you? What can't I tell you? We'll have to sign an NDA after this to make sure that I don't spill the beans too much. But yeah, basically, I was the event director at Spartan Midlands last year, so I know the venue very well. And the course that we delivered last year, we got a lot of feedback, positive and some negatives. So obviously building from that, creating a course. And obviously, when we build courses, we take into consideration the course that we've just delivered in London West, for example, and the course we will deliver at Southwest. So there's quite a lot that goes into it when we're thinking about the races that we put on here in the UK and internationally. But for this particular venue, we do use a lot of the venue that we have available. So obviously for Spartan, we're putting on a beast. So we do use 21 kilometers of this venue. And then when we were looking at the British OCR Champs course, because it's a 12k plus course, we kind of have good markers to go off with our super. We've got our sprint and beast, so there's quite a few loops that we could incorporate, which myself and James have worked on to kind of offer a lot of variety. And I think James will agree it's kind of a good balance of a lot of different elements. The obstacles themselves, I mean, you'll probably know them better than I will. The selection that's available and what we can and can't have at the venue. There's a lovely lake at the venue, so taking advantage of what is there naturally as well, and then trying to add variety. So some things that we did last year that maybe worked really well, or some things that we could mix up a little bit. So taking into consideration the elevation profile and the sequencing of obstacles to kind of mix it up a little bit and give the competitors something a little bit different. James, I don't know if there's anything that you want to add from your perspective.
That was very KG kind of communication.
I'm sure
definitely
we'll Amy.
I'm impressed how you spoke for so long. No, I think and probably when this comes out, the obstacle map will be released for the British Champs, so everyone will be able to see the obstacles. But you've got all the kind of main obstacles that you get in a Spartan race. I'm going to throw there's an ape hanger in there over water as well, which is really nice and fun. And you're going to get wet, and hopefully not on that one because you're going to finish it. But as Amy was saying, there's some water on this course as well, which is great. So you get that element of it. And as you do see in Spartan races, there's some carries, and they are some tough carries as well. So as ever, Spartan doesn't wince on the kind of strength element. So that's great. And maybe I don't know, Amy, unless you want to say anything else, I can talk about some of the obstacles that we're introducing specifically for the champs.
Yeah, absolutely.
One obstacle which is actually going to be, and I'll talk about this one first because it's going to be on all three courses. It's going to be in both junior courses and on the senior course, is the firefighter obstacle, Toros firefighters. So due to our partnership with Toros, and they recently helped support the national team, essentially by helping us to develop our obstacle selection in the UK, we've got a lot of equipment and attachments and things available to us. And one of those will be 4 lanes of firefighters, which are going to be fab near the finish. Few obstacles on the end where you can have those firefighters, and maybe I'll allow Becky or Mr. Science, Chris, explain firefighter obstacles and the intricacies of it.
Oh, Becky, do you want to take this one?
Okay, Mr. Science. I'm Dr. Science, you're Mr. Science. I mean, on behalf of the athletes, I've got some extra questions for Amy, but we'll come back to that. I just want to do a little bit more grilling, but you can say no. But first, firefighters, really exciting obstacle from Toros. We've seen them actually at Tartan Warrior If you were there earlier in the year as part of the UKOCR series, they've also been in the World Championships and the European Championships. And essentially, they're quite wide tubes that hang vertically, and they have ropes coming out the side of them at different heights, and the rope goes through both sides of the tube. And so what you have to do is wrap your legs and your arms and your body around the vertical tubes as they're hanging. And there's a series of hanging vertical tubes, one after the other. I don't know how many you have. Maybe, I don't know, 6 or 8 or something.
6 or 8,
Six,
yeah.
six that you have to traverse from one to the other. So it's dangling, wobbling around all over the place. You obviously can't touch the floor. And the tricky part is that the ropes that go horizontally through the piping, they've got knots on them, but the knots are near the ends of the ropes. So when you pull on a rope, it slides through the tubing and you go down a bit further. So you have to use your eyes and your brain to think about which piece of rope or which side of the rope that you want to pull. Is it the short end or is it the long end? I'll let you decide. Tactics here. And see how quickly you can traverse across them. There'll be a bell at the end.
Yep.
To finish the obstacle. They all swing a bit so you can have a bit of momentum. It gets a bit fiddly. You've got to use kind of all your body, all your core muscles, your grip, your legs to kind of traverse across there. There's quicker ways, there's safer ways of doing it. We still haven't figured exactly why it's called the firefighter, but I guess it looks like there's water coming out of a hydrant.
I always thought it was just because you're like sliding down it like a fireman's
Maybe
pole.
that too. Yeah, wrapping your legs around the fire pole.
The good thing I think about firefighters is actually a lot of people can achieve them. They're technical, so you need a bit of skill and a bit of strategy to get across, but they are achievable as well. So for our full range of athletes, I think they'll have a lot of fun on it, from young to old and elite. Yeah, it's good to bring that obstacle into this country beyond the British Championships, hoping to see that at other events as well in the future. I think it's going to be great as well, because they're available for British obstacle sports, and then working with other events to use them in the future. Similar to the attachments we have. So we had a number of attachments last year on the Boss Torres rig. For the senior course, we'll have a Torres rig, an additional Torres rig with attachments, and we'll come up with a nice selection to test everyone's grip strength on that. And that's probably going to be, I would say, the hardest obstacle of all of them, and probably the one that's going to cause the most penalties in the race.
Right.
It's going to be a kind of.
So
Go on, Will.
Before we go on then, James, let's just quickly talk about penalties. How are we working out penalties? Penalty bans this year?
It's going to be penalties at obstacles for the courses that are on the adult courses. So the 14 to 17 and the senior course will be penalties at obstacles. We are going to be continuing to develop our multi-band system for the 10 to 13-year-olds, and that will be 4 bands. If you lose 3 bands, you start to get X's on your wristband with additional time penalties. So there's no do not completes with our juniors. Everyone will finish, but it will significantly reward obstacle completion. At this stage, we wanted to not overcomplicate things on the senior course with the band system. Maybe in the future championships we might, but we are going to use it for our youngsters, partly because of an operational thing, which is the space for the 3K course. We want to make sure the penalties are significant, and if we are only using the space available, some of those penalties might not be long enough. So to ensure it's a fair race and we're rewarding obstacle completion for the 10 to 13 age groups, there's the band system.
The nice thing about the Toros grips is that they're quite grippy in terms of the texture. Even last year, where it was quite near the start of the race, maybe a mile or kilometre in or something, and it was a bit dewy still. It was still, it was still the best kind of obstacle that is that technical that you could have, or the best kind of texture that you could have on that kind of difficult obstacle. So I think people should be confident that they can have a good go at it, no matter the conditions.
I don't know what attachments we've got there, Becky. So you never know.
I don't know. No.
No, they are. They're good.
Bring it on.
They're good. They're good obstacles in attachments in any weather. Yeah, I agree.
So we don't need to assume penalties is my point.
No,
It's,
all I'm
kind of-
saying is if there's the hardest obstacle, I would say will be, because there's going to be that balance for the course, probably will be the Taurus rig. We may throw a few surprises on other Spartan obstacles.
Oh,
So certainly Beta might have a little extra on it. We'll just see all working through that. So yeah.
interesting.
There is one more bonus obstacle that we should talk about, which is Tough Mudder's Everest. So I was really keen to bring Everest in, not since there was, well, you have it at Europe's Toughest Mudder and previously at the kind of 10-mile competitive races that Tough Mudder did. You had Everest, but you've never obviously seen it in a champs in this way. So that different element of speed to get up on the ramp adds as a different obstacle test, essentially. Fun obstacle to do as well, especially if you reach the top. Not so good if you slide back down, but that's all part of obstacle racing. And we are going to throw a little bit of a strategy into it. So if people have done Tough Mudder, people will know that mostly, because it's a team-based obstacle, what do you call it, Amy? The lip, is it?
We call it the hump, at the top.
Yeah, so there'll be half of Everest set up with the hump, and there'll be half without the hump, so slightly easier to get up. So it's essentially a fast slow lane. If you go for that fast lane, you're going to just go running straight off to the next obstacle. If you do the slow lane, you're going to have to do something afterwards, more than likely a crawl or something similar. And so you're going to get a significant reward for doing that fast lane.
And is this going to be straight after? So say, for example, you take the fast lane, you slip straight down. Is that straight into the sort of longer version, or can you take a second retry on the easier lane?
It's a multi-attempt, so you're not fixed on one lane. You can, if you go the fast lane, you can't do it, you can go and do the slow lane, or you'll still have the option of a penalty. It's not a mandatory obstacle. The penalty will be significant because you've got a couple of options, fast and slow. But yeah, so you'll have that strategy. Do I go straight for fast, or do I opt for the slow lane? And I think
that's really interesting. It's really interesting, James, because especially this year, Tough Mudder have put the high and more difficult Everest back in. So if he was going to try and get everyone to do the what is essentially the fast lane, that'd be really difficult for many of the competitors. So I really like this. I'm a big fan of toughest, and it sounds like it's kind of a toughest penalty, isn't it? That, you know, take the slightly easier option, but you're going to be slowed down with some form of call or something. Really like it. And Everest is one of my favorite obstacles, so it's great to see it out on a championship course. For I would say a significant number of competitors probably haven't even attempted it before. They've not done Tough Mudder, so this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah,
I think it's extra.
I think
as some of these competitors will have just been to European Championships and been challenged by a ramp, different shape, different size, different material, of course. And now we know that the World Championships next year is in Sweden, which is also the home of toughest race. Maybe this is a perfect time to introduce a ramp to our own championships between those two. So that's really cool development.
I think
and
from my
hopefully then.
Sorry, James. I was just going to say, from my perspective as well, obviously having it at Tough Mudder and seeing that team work element, and then seeing it being done at your champs, it'll be really interesting. Yeah, how many people take that fast lane, how slow lane, and how it operates as an individual obstacle, like an individual trial obstacle. But yeah, I don't imagine too many people taking the slow lane. Well, I don't know. I just, in my head, I think a lot of people will be able to do it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's hard.
Well, I think it's all going to come down to obstacle placement. We all know how difficult obstacles can be if you have a gauntlet, especially in Spartan races, which they tend to do. They tend to put a bit of a gauntlet on with like either a strength-based element or a technical element, sort of. But that's going to be where it's going to be. Are you guys going to have really good obstacle placements, or is it going to be spread out through the whole course? Are you going to have gauntlets? Are you going to have a little bit of mixture? You know, what the athlete's going to be looking to have?
There's go on, Amy. You can let everyone know.
Yeah, so I think when we were looking at the obstacle sequence, it is mix of having like obstacles well spaced, but also we do have an area where there are sequences of obstacles in a very related constant pace, and I think that's really going to test the competitors when they, it is going to test endurance, and it is going to test strength, and it's going to be also, given the elevation at Midlands, us trying to play on that as well. So yeah, there's one area and then after that you might see some relief or you might not.
Well, it's a championship race. I can't imagine there'll be any relief, because the people fighting for the top will be pushing all the way, I'd imagine. So there shouldn't be any let up whatsoever.
I think, without giving anything away, and obviously I see a map, but there's no names of any obstacles here. But where it normally is, you're after a bit of water, and I don't know whether you're going to take a dip through the stream in British Champs, but you'll be going through water normally. Then there's another obstacle, and then there's a long uphill. It's quite a shallow uphill, but it's a long uphill before you get to Everest. So I don't think there's a sequence of obstacles before Everest, if it's going to be similar to kind of Spartan and to Tough Mudder last year. But it's an uphill, so you're going to be quite tired before you even get there. Let's put it that way. Maybe not from obstacles, but from a run uphill.
Yeah.
It's towards the end. There's actually a significant running section before, so it's not straight. There's not an obstacle straight before, so you'll have time or not to take a breather, depending if you want to focus on your running at that point or wait for the sprint up. You should be relatively dry. You never know. It's also Britain, isn't it? It'll probably be raining. Touch wood, it won't. Yeah, I think it should reward the speedsters, which is a different skill. So let's see who can get up there, save themselves. I would say 30-45 seconds potentially by taking the fast lane. It'll be a significant time saving, yeah, I think it could play a different, have an impact on the race. Absolutely.
Yeah, the hill definitely. If it's actually on a hill, that makes a big difference. And if it gets muddy, I think we're pretty early on the weekend, right? The first race. So, and if you're saying we're dry by then hopefully that won't be too slippy, because people like to consider, their shoe options when they're thinking about this, their clothing options. So you mentioned the water already, but how much water? How long is this? Do they need to be able to swim? There's all those questions that start coming up as soon as you say the word water, in terms of preparation. So any insights you can on the water in more depth would be helpful for kit preparation.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, using like the natural resources that we have at the venue will be something that we've implemented into the course, but as well as the lakes that we have at the venue, there will also be individual water-based obstacles. So yeah, I think in the sequence of obstacles, it will be testing in some areas where you might go from a water-based obstacle to a grip obstacle, to a strength-based obstacle, and having having to do a few in a row and kind of really focus on how you tackle that obstacle. But that's not really for me to say. I just place the obstacles, deliver the event.
It sounds like it might be just those obstacles could be your typical sort of Spartan area where you've got your sort of rolling mud walls and into like an A-frame or anything going up that, and maybe a carry. So it's nothing that we haven't really seen before as athletes.
Yeah, and I think over the last year or so, the combination of obstacles has also developed. Like, for example, we're doing a sandbag or a bucket carry or something, put it down and do a hoist or a rope climb or something in the middle of it. So any kind of combinations like that, I think people are up for these days, and it is a good challenge to do that in the middle of another one and be like efficient going in and out of the obstacles, even if they're not particularly technical.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are looking at that combination element. So as well as our Spartan races, there will be a combination that hasn't been done before in the UK. I'm not sure if it has been done internationally.
Yeah. And that will be on the senior course and the 14 to 17-year-old course as well. So it's probably worth mentioning for the 14 to 17-year-old course. I'm going to give a quick overview. We've been able to. It's primarily the sprint course, but we fought hard as British Obstacle Sports. Amy will kind of attest to this. There's a lovely section of the Super with a little bit of water, a a little bit of
14,
obstacles
17
between 8 to be able to do, which will be fantastic. It's a really nice section, which is also on the senior course. We have reduced the amount of carries for 14 to 17, and they'll be doing different weights as well. So we know that there's at 14 to 17-year-old age group, you've got a range of development in terms of kids and their growth. So we really wanted to kind of be inclusive and open to everyone in terms of the opportunity to test themselves on this course. So there is a carry, and it's a significant carry, but we've reduced the number of carries on that 14 to 17-year-old course, which I think will, I think they'll love it. It's a great course. I think if we could do like a sprint championships as well, I'd love everyone to do this course as well. It's awesome. So the 14 to 17-year-olds are going to have a lot of fun.
We've been watching some of them 14 to 17-year-olds competing abroad and back home as well, and I tell you what, some of the stuff that they're doing is far beyond any of the capabilities that any of us adults are doing at the moment. They're just a head and shoulders above everyone at the moment, and it's really progressing at a fast rate, and it's something to be watching out for soon. So to see it on this championship would be awesome.
I'm excited to watch that. I'm going to watch it after our race. I'm going to definitely watch the whole of the junior races, because there's that, isn't there?
If you can keep up.
And the 10 to 13-year-old course, primarily the Spartan Kids 3K course. As I said, it's got firefighters, which will be great for them to play and work and go through. And as Chris was saying, they're going to be rapid, I'm sure. The rig is also going to have a few horror surprises on the rig.
Cool.
So. And the kids course is a loop, so they get to do it twice as well, those obstacles. So it should be
they can try and improve as well, even if they make a little mistake. And can I just double check? Did you say the weights are different, as in for boys and girls, or they?
They are very likely to be the same for boys and girls. So everyone using the female weights. We may have a slightly lower weight for females. That's just something we're 100% confirming. Females tend to develop quicker than boys, just from a genetics perspective, if that's the right science word. Probably not.
I can clarify that. That's definitely true. Yeah,
their maturity.
Maybe we should ask the doctor rather than Mr.
I just answered it. Oh, sorry, the other one.
Chris Science Shipley. It's covered.
Yeah, done it, sorted. I can just see it. If that was the wrong fact, I can just see me getting the blame for that now. So Becky's got out of it. I'll be the scapegoat just in case.
Becky, you just mentioned weather, and of course we've got to have our weather watch. So 29th of June, Saturday, we're looking at around about 17 to 19 degrees, light rain, 30% chance of rain, but it'll be light showers if anything else, and 8 or 9 miles an hour. So actually pretty good conditions as far as we're out a week and a half of recording. Becky, I know you've probably got some more questions that you want to kind of aim at Amy. Do you have anything else that we can try and poke her with, try and get some more surprises or some more tidbits out of her, or James?
Well, perhaps we could talk about the start, if you have any confirmation of how the start works for the different categories.
Yep. So
you got national, men's, para, women.
So yeah, I think it will get released in full on Monday in terms of the times. But essentially, I think the one thing to mention, it will be like last year in terms of you have an elite men, elite female, female start, women start, and then there'll be 3 age group waves. So the men's wave will be split in 2, and then there'll be a women's wave, and then we've got para, international competitive, open wave after that. It's between 7:30 and 8:15. So elite, as usual, are unlucky and get the first slot, which is 7:30.
Why is it always so early?
I don't have a lot of races to get in the day, you know.
So you can prepare for the AGM.
I asked that question as well.
I do think one day we should do an evening championship.
Yeah.
That would be good fun. 6 p.m.
I'd like that.
I'm better racing in the evening. That sounds plan.
I like.
So I've got a question. So what's the spectatability going to be like at this course?
Yeah, so we'll have really good access for spectators. We'll have a spectator route marked so it should be super clear. And yeah, spectators will be able to exit the event village in 2 areas and be able to see a range of obstacles from near the start and the middle of the course and towards the end as well. So it should be really good for them. We also will have a viewing area within the village. So as competitors are coming towards the finish, and it's like grappling for positions and stuff, it should be quite exciting, and there'll be areas there with potential penalty loops and things for people to watch. So it should be really good.
And are we going to be able to see sort of the race unfolding, or will we just have to sort of wait until athletes come in and out of that area to know who's in the lead?
Yeah, you'll be able to see. So we have a number of obstacles within the event village towards the end. So you'll be able to see as they come through. There's about 4 obstacles that you would be able to watch.
And then you wouldn't, unless you're on the spectator route, you probably wouldn't be able to see the athletes before they come back to the event village, because it doesn't go in through and out again, does it? It's just if you go on the spectator route that you can see the mid race, I think. And spectators need a ticket, is that right?
Yes, so spectators can purchase a ticket for £5 from the Spartan website. And then, they'll be able to access our event village and our range of partners that we have. Sampling lots of goodies.
Becky, Chris, any more questions for James or Amy?
I'm good. Unless I think of something, but I haven't got anything else.
I think my brain was ticking when you were speaking. I was thinking, I'm going to ask this. I've got so many questions. But I think I'm excited for the surprises. I'm adapting my brain to.
And I take it I will just say we are getting the rule book out when this goes out as well, aren't we?
Yeah, so on Monday, or by Monday, June 24th, you'll have rulebook, which effectively the rulebook will be anything that's different to the Spartan rulebook. So it won't be every single obstacle, although all the obstacles will be listed in terms of what obstacles they are. If it's different, like Everest, there'll be a page on the Everest rule. The Torals rig, there'll be a page. And then if you need to brush up on your Spartan rulebook knowledge, you can go to the Spartan rulebook. It would also cover things like time-ins, the team element. So there's a team element to the senior race, and it will just cover that. And actually, we're going to put in everyone registered and their teams as well, so no one can say, "Oh, I've missed registering my team." So maybe if I just talk about that, we've had that for the last few years with the UKOCR series. I think it's worked really well. Rumble have tried to recruit every single racer in the UK, try and beat.
Yeah, Dave has been selling so much stuff. You wouldn't believe how much gifts he's given me over the last couple of years, and everyone else. He's really gone all out. He's buying everyone loads of stuff. He's got dental. He's got health insurance. It's brilliant. It's brilliant being on Rumble.
If you want a really good package in terms of benefits, then sign up to Rumble. If you want to win, sign up to Nuclear Phoenix. But yes, no, there's going to be a team element, as there has been with UKOCR series, and it will work in a very similar way to UKOCR series, where you'll run your race, and then based on how you position in your race, those points will then transfer over to the team. It is your top 5 athletes from the race, so from the senior race or the elite race or the age group race, and you have to have 60% of each gender. So at least 3 need to be male or 3 need to be female. So you can't just have 5 guys, 5 female, essentially. And then your times are combined, and then we will have a podium for the top 3 teams as well.
So every second does count, because times are combined in for the championship team competition, but also this event is also part of the UKOCR series, which we've just been talking about. It's the June event. And the points are based on the fastest time from any competitive wave, right? So in your gender.
You got to keep pushing.
So the age group athletes might have started at a different time to the elite athletes, but could still gain more points than them. Is that right? Or are they all ranked?
For the series, it's ranked on time as well. So while we did it differently last year, because it was the last race of the year and we wanted that final race to be all together, this year it will be based on your time. So every second counts.
Nice segue, Becky. We'll move on to the current leaderboard of the UKOCR series. As Becky said, this is the 4th race, so we've already had 3 races We'll start with the female. We have first place Karen McQuarrie, followed by Shyla Duhani, followed by Debbie Love. Fourth place is Kerry White. Fifth place is Wendy Brothers. Sixth place is Freddie DeCaria. Seventh place is Josie Lloyd. Eighth is Becky Neal. Ninth is Tamar Barkley. And 10th is Elizabeth Bremicum. We'll go on to the men, and then we'll talk about who's hot because we have the list. First place, we have Russell Walsh, followed by Finley Greenleaf and Adasov Scanella in third place. Fourth place is Alex Young, followed by Ramsey Wickes and Andy Bright in sixth place. Bill Stubbs in seventh, Dan Titcombe in eighth, Andrew White in ninth, and Stephen Graham in 10th place. And then quickly go over to the teams. First place, Nuclear Phoenix, back to where we normally see you guys. I'm sure everyone else will be hammering for that place. But first place, Nuclear Phoenix. Second place, Fit Body Farm Freestylers. Third place, Rumble Racing. Fourth place, Nuclear Wild Forest. Fifth place, Primal Fitness, followed by PT Barn Races, Team Grits, Field Fit, Team Nuts, and in 10th place, OMRM. Guys, let's talk about who's hot. And before we go through the names, one thing I do want to pick up on, Chris and Becky, because you'll be right there. Euros last week ago, and then another week, and then we're into British Champs. How did the races, especially because they're, I know Chris, you especially was targeting Euros and British Champs. How do you kind of go from the highs of that, kind of try and do whatever tape or whatever it is, and then get back up for British Champs? How does that work for the elite racers?
So most people are either just take a bit of time to recover and then just get straight into it. Having that sort of hard effort for a European Championship really does sort of follow up to it. So with 2 weeks in between, it does give yourself a good chance to recover. I mean, some people like Das probably won't. He'll probably go run 200 miles tomorrow or something and then drink some coffee. But most people take a nice bit of time to recover. There's no fitness that you're going to build in 2 weeks. There's nothing you're going to gain or lose. You're just going to just coast into it. And you should you could pop really well and have a really good race from that level of fitness. So it does fit with quite well.
Yeah, I think people will be feeling competitive, having, got the bug at Euros, or maybe be feeling like they need a bit of redemption, or this course might feel different or challenging in some ways, easier in other ways. So I think people will be really up for it. I remember last year we had a race 2 weeks after Euros, and it was a really nice reunion. Everyone kind of missed each other, and then we all came back for another race, and it was like having another European Championships. And especially with the international wave and the junior races that we've got in this Championships, it's actually going to feel like a huge event. And hopefully the sun will be out and be really nice. And so I think it will be, the race to be at. So I think people will be competitive still. The focus is probably on recovering, because a lot of people did a lot of races. And it did really take it out of our bodies because the hills were horrible.
I know these are going to feel like molehills compared to the ones we've just been running on.
Yes, sea level air, lovely.
So we've got the female list here, and I don't think there's any real surprises. We could probably have done, got away without this list. But Becky, let's start with you. Just let's start picking out some names. But everybody is there, right?
Yeah, and we have people who have been repeatedly been on the podium since being on the podium last year, and I think it's going to be some pretty strong contenders. Fede, Karen, and Shy are probably the like most consistent races at the moment, but also Josie, who did excellently at Euros. She podiumed, and also Tamar. We haven't seen her at Europe, but I know she's had some really consistent training earlier on in the year. Imi, I think, is going to be out with her injury. That would have been really exciting to see. But even like Lou had a really strong performance at Euros as well. So I think everyone's come really close together for this Championships. So those things like the strategy and the combination of obstacles and the ramp even, and any penalties that arise are actually going to kind of play an important role. And of course, Cheryl raced in the elite category as well at Euros, and she's been doing a lot of Spartan races. And Ellie joined Nuclear Phoenix too, and she's placed really highly in a lot of the races in the series, so she's really up for it, and she's not knackered from Euros. And yeah, then we've got a lot of other people. Ruth, Soiler, Megan Ballum, who's done loads of strength training recently. Who else we got? Susan was away with us as well. Kimberly, who's been training hard at Rumble as well, and Emily Spain, who's been racing internationally a lot more recently, and Charlie as well. She's been joining lots of trips abroad. Yeah, it's exciting. What do you think?
Yeah. Currently, we have 12 women that have confirmed elite status. So we've been running a series of qualification events. So you have to kind of make sure you message British Obstacle Sports to confirm you're on elite, and we have 12. Yeah. So I think you've mentioned all the names. We do have an elite masters aspect to the elite race, and Louise Ferryman, Sandy Powell, and Tamar Barkley are masters, so they can go for overall podium, but also there's an elite masters category as well. Nice. And reason we did that is because not always, because these masters are amazing and are challenging for podiums as well, but we wanted to make sure that the elite masters had the opportunity to race with elite, but also had a bit of a competition within as well.
Yeah, you did it so you could win it last year yourself, didn't you? Yeah, we all know.
It's Spartan's idea. They used to do it. They don't do it anymore. They should keep it, especially now I'm a master. So yeah,
I'll be there soon as well.
Yeah, you need to be selling it as well, Chris, because it won't be long.
Yeah, I know. Couple more years, I'm there.
Maybe you need to speak to someone at Spartan, James.
Yeah, it's a
Don't
good
worry,
category.
we'll bear it in mind.
Thanks, Amy.
Any of those names, Chris, that jump out at you as well?
No, I mean Becky's listed them all, and it's really good. I mean, some of the races that haven't raced at Euros, I'm really looking forward to seeing, especially Tamar. She's having an exceptional year. And Pip's going to be down there for this race as well, and she hasn't raced too much this year, so hopefully she races and does really well, and she's part of Team Rumble, and she's really helped me out over the last couple of weeks, so excited to see her race.
Right, on to the main quiz.
Oh, where do we start with that? There's names coming out of our ear holes.
Well,
Darren Martin.
Let's start with the podiums from last year.
So
Dan Titcombe won.
Well, we got Dan Titcombe. You had, who was second?
I'm trying to think which way around it was.
Yeah, because it was.
I think Jason was second, wasn't he? Yeah, Jason was second. Russell was third.
That's right. So I do know that like Jason and Russell are going to do really well at this course because it's that kind of course. But all eyes are going to be on the top three. And so it's going to be a real battle between Dan, Morgan, and Russell. Those guys have been showing. I mean, they're our international fourth-place team, and they are the team. They're the guys to really watch out for. They've got it in for each other. They were talking at the after party about how much they wanted to beat each other. That is going to be a battle of battles, So I'm really excited to see them guys go off. We've got all the other sort of names like rocking the bill. We've got Luke De Benedictus is coming down for this one. We've got Scotty Barker, previous Spartan races, coming down for this. They're really good at the Spartan course. So it's going to be really interesting to see them perform on this British obstacle sports with a couple of other elements. We know Scotty Barker's really good at sort of obstacles. I don't know. They've been doing their sort of training for triathletes at the moment. So are they going to be in good enough condition to be fighting for that? I did see on the thingy, we did have a Tom Twiddle was on the thing as well, wasn't he? His name's in there somewhere.
I just spotted that.
Tom.
Yeah, so I see his name on there earlier. So to see him come down, he always has a mark on his chest to be beaten. And I know a lot of the guys really want to see what he's made of now. He hasn't put his foot in the mix for a little while. So is he going to be coming down on form, or is he going to be coming down as not quite the Tom Twiddle that we used to know before? But will he be able to perform? It'd be really good to see. Dassos, this course is going to suit him. I mean, he's fast. He's a fast guy. I mean, he's got hardly anything to carry, and he's got a bit of redemption to make. He didn't have the Euros performance that he probably wanted. He's going to really come out there with like socks kicking and going all at it. And my favourite Scot of all times coming down, Ricky Carino. That man has been looking like a beast. He's just come back from Mike's gym, had a nice holiday over there with the missus, and he is looking on form. We've talked about him countless times on Accountability Corner, and we talked about him on here a lot of the times. He is having a good year, and to watch him come out, it's going to be amazing. So that's going to be really good. I think that.
I think we have to.
Go on.
Finley is running the 12K. That's right, not the 14 to 17.
Correct. He's doing elite.
So he's racing elite, and Finley has been getting closer and closer / beating people every race this year. This one could could be the one. What do you think?
I
Or-
think he's going to come out. He's going to be punning his way all the way into this race. Every second he gets, he's going to be singing some puns, talking to everyone. But he is just showing what is dominant. Hang on, let me just rephrase that. He is showing how dominant he is at the moment. The boy's getting some muscles. He's got all the sort of testosterone going through his young body. It's just shooting him up. Not that he's that sounds like he's on drugs, doesn't it? Cut that out, Alan. No, he's got all the things going for him because he's a teenager. He's got all those hormones going through him, and he just wants to win. We all remember what it was like when we was young, and he's fearless, showing everyone what he can do. And I think, he will show everyone on this race what he can do. Where's the list gone?
Oh, sorry, I dare.
Nice.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, there's many more names.
Yeah, I wanted to go through some of the age groupers as well.
Got Alex Young, Dazos,
Oh,
and one more person, Ramunas, who are doing a lead.
so
And they're the
Masters.
and for the Masters. Now, Alex, he's
Mm.
probably on point to win this Masters Championships. I don't know about you, but I've never seen Alex race as good as he has done this year. He is in
Mhm.
phenomenal shape. And I think that's all down to the family, but he is looking good.
I think the Spartan course suits him as well. A bit of strength.
Mm.
He's a strong guy, Alex.
And I'm sure he'll puke somewhere along the course as well. He loves a puke.
Head it here first, folks. Chris,
But Matt Roberts,
Becky,
go on.
sorry, because I know we're running out of time. Top three. Forgot to ask you. Okay, so who's hot for male and female? Chris, let's go with you first.
I want to be really, really quick, and I'm going to say for the women, Tamar, Karen, Josie, and then for the men, I'm going to say Mid-Pack Mo, Rumble Russell, and Dangerous Dan.
Becky.
Okay. Fede, Karen, Shy, men, Dan, Russell, Jason. Who knows?
James, do you want to have a punt?
I'm going to remain impartial.
No, you're
Yeah.
not. Come on.
Sorry.
Can't spill it.
It's like that's like betting on like your own team. I don't know, whatever. But I did want to quickly shout out.
Juniors.
Sorry, Jason.
The juniors.
Juniors. Yes.
We won't put any pressure on them, but
That's
there are
amazing.
some competitive races.
Before juniors, I wanted to say para. We've got 3 male paras. We've got 4-time gold medalists from the Euro champs. Jamie Gaines. So he's obviously going to be the favourite. However, Chris pushed him pretty well in the 100, and it was close. Almost won.
He pushed him hard. Chris is. I think Chris and Jamie have such a they're really good mates, but I think Chris just wants to destroy Jamie, and I think just give him some time. He's just going to keep training, and that's his rival. You know, for them two to have competition amongst themselves is only going to push themselves to go even harder. So that's really, really awesome to see.
Great for Team UK. And I know that Harrison Hendricks is hopefully going to come as well. And we are working, hopefully, on our first female para. And if there's any other female paras out there, do get in touch, because it would make history. First female para champion. So definitely bring a para female athlete to the champs. But yeah, juniors got some incredible athletes in the list. It's going to be competitive. Got some that were at the Euros a few weeks ago as well, last weekend. Sorry.
Yeah, people on the podium at Euros like Harry Jeffrey. We got all of the I've got Flynn Stewart, Hayden Andrews from Ninja. We forgot Cameron Montgomery as well. Riley Gleason, George Ferriman, of course. Josh Lads, we got Isla as well. Can't see.
Isla's in the 10 to 11. Yeah.
Isla as well.
There's a strong Fit Body Farm contingent coming down from Scotland. We've got Lou Ferriman's got a lot of her junior athletes come in. So there's a lot of names. I think it's going to be competitive. As I say, there's 3 age groups: 10 to 11, 12 to 13, 14 to 17. Be good to see.
I think all the teams are going to be scouting over the weekend, seeing who they can try and take for their future athletes.
We're going to go watch. We're going to go support. Hopefully, we're going to have some coverage that we can cover the junior race as well, and then celebrate them on the podium with us as well.
Really want it. So yeah, I guess a message from British Obstacle Sports. I know some people have to go fair enough. But please try and stay for the day, support the juniors, come to the podium. Let's make it a great day, great atmosphere. We're probably not going to sell you all to come to the AGM in the evening for British Obstacle Sport, but there's a bar, so you can buy a beer, celebrate the day. But definitely support the juniors and stay for as long as you can, because I think it's really good that they love when a lot of them they look up to the elite and senior athletes as well. So it's really nice for us to all stay and support them.
No, I second that. They're truly an inspiration at the moment, and the hard work that they're all putting in really sort of pushes you forward to try and do the same. So good.
I think that community aspect has been noticed by other countries, and we do have a few international athletes coming for the international, which is exciting, and they'll be able to see all of that, all the support that the juniors and the rising stars, and how we celebrate them as well.
So if the ladies want a bit of eye candy, you got Jonas Drescher coming down. I mean, what a bod on that man! He's
Superman.
Chris is sold.
I'm sold on him. Yeah, it's like a universal soldier. It's chiseled. He's just what a guy. So, if he's going to come down, and I think he's going to be one to watch, that's for sure.
Right, guys, on that note, thank you very much.
Oh.
The other thing is it's part of the World Series.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's World Series points.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why they're coming.
Well, I think maybe just on the final thought in terms of future events. So it is a qualifier for Portugal, OCR European Championships in Portugal. And also Costa Rica for this year as well. So it'll be the final race that's a Costa Rica qualifier from Rude Rampage. Rude Rampage will be for Gothenburg 2025.
Sweet.
Right, seriously, thank you. On that note, this has been the British Champs preview, ready for June the 29th. If you haven't already, you can still get your tickets at the time of recording. You go to britishobstacle.org. Cost is £125. It's in Grantham, Lincolnshire, which is about 100 miles north of London. Really easy to get to on the main line, also on the A1, so really easy to get to. My thanks to Amy McGill from Spartan for joining us today. You can follow along at Spartan Race UK, and also, of course, to James Burton. You can follow along on Instagram with him at British Obstacle Sports. As always, thank you too much to elite co-hosts. They are Chris Shipley at Obstacle Race Dude, and to Becky Neal at The Runner Bean UK. This has been the recap of the British Champs, and we will see you in the recap, and then we're going to be on to the next race at Rude Rampage. My name is Wil Chung. This has been UKOCR Who's Hot Podcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Ta-ra.
You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. Get your hands to the sky. Get your hands to the sky. Yeah. Ain't no glory for the faint of heart. We all stars, win or lose, we don't play the part. And when the going getting tough, I get to going hard. You bring your best and you know I'ma tear them apart. We been in survival, rival, I ain't got no time for anyone who ain't put in the work that I do. You ain't heard about us, think I'm gonna remind you. I've been out here doing what I say is what defines you. This is our time, hands to the sky. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. Hands to the sky, this is our time. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. This is our house.